Let's talk about the defense and where they grade from a big picture perspective coming up next, as well as we'll talk about where Oklahoma lands in the polls.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Jay, defensively, how would you grade the Oklahoma Sooners?
I'm going to give the defense also a B+. One of the better defenses in college football. If you look at the statistics, John, give you some numbers here. We are second nationally in total defense given up at 207.5 yards per game. Whomst among us would have believed Oklahoma would have ended up in this place after playing a team like Michigan, who we've seen put up some pretty absurd numbers on the offensive side of the ball when they're not playing Oklahoma. Same thing with Auburn, right? Auburn was putting up some numbers to start the season that everywhere else, but against Oklahoma, they were not able to do the numbers they like. Now, granted, Jackson Arnold was able to have himself a pretty solid game overall passing because they exploited. Yeah, they exploited a young corner, which smart. That is, you won't hear me knock them for it. That's a smart strategy. If you want to win a game, you find where you perceive weakness. And experience is a weakness sometimes. If you don't have it, it takes time to learn. But we know he's going to learn from that. But I digress. I mean, Michigan was averaging over 436 yards per game, and they didn't even crack 300 against us. So Oklahoma did what you're supposed to do in two games. That's big. So the defense, big time. I think biggest things we need to fix real quick, cornerback play needs to just get a little bit better upgrade. We need to keep the pass defense very, very stout, even though defensively on the pass game, John, we're still only giving up like just over 100 yards per game. So the numbers are still there. We just got to make sure that we get stronger and better in that capacity. So B+, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I would give him an A-. I mean, so far so good. This is a team that has looked really good. Aside from some really nice contested catches from one of the best wide receivers in college football, I felt like the pass coverage was actually pretty good against Auburn. You didn't see guys running wide open. Now, did they get beat on some double moves? Yeah, they did.
But real good.
The quarterback wasn't able to take advantage of those. But there weren't like these gaping holes in zone coverage. There weren't these guys kind of just running free with nobody around them. No miscommunications, no coverage busts, none of that. It was just, I got beat on a double move, which is going to happen. And as you're developing your cornerback room, that's one area that you can continue to improve on. It's been pretty good, man. And you go back to the Michigan game, and a lot of the sacks between that game and against Auburn were coverage sacks. Jackson Arnold having to hold on to the ball because there's nowhere to go with it, or at least he doesn't trust where to go with it.
Yeah.
As we saw against Texas A&M, that's an issue for Jackson. But I feel like from front to back, I mean, the defensive tackle group, the defensive end group, they've been fantastic. The linebackers have been really, really good. The safeties have been really, really good. To me, it's an A- defense. Create some turnovers, and you'll push yourself into an A+. I mean, this is a team that's creating a lot of splash plays. They're creating a lot of tackles for loss, a lot of sacks. This has been a really, really good defense so far. You're going to face some tougher offenses down the road, but so far so good for me.
Yeah, it's crazy that we've only given up an average of 118 passing yards per game, with the biggest one being Jackson Arnold doing 220. He's the leader against us so far, with Underwood being behind him at like 149 or something. But I would have never expected that. Like last year, when we're dealing with the injuries you get the emergence of an Eli Bowen mid-season. So you start to see some good stuff, but it was tough last year, we just didn't have the corner play we needed, and I think we have it. I'm not down on Cortland Guillory. It happens, right? But to go with that, John, you get the biggest thing to me and the reason why I don't have him in an A system yet is we ain't got no turnovers, which is still wild to me that we've gone this far. Last year we had 6 sacks, 6 fumbles against Temple. Like, we turned the ball over like crazy in the first 4 games last year. This year, we can't buy one. But at the same time, it does feel like, as you mentioned, the best part about this defense is no one's just running around just wide open. Nobody's getting busted plays and actually executing on them. Yeah. We're getting beat on moves, but we're not going to beat it on busted plays, which is, that means we're playing sound defense as a unit. It's just we got to make sure we don't let a double move get us like 4 times in a row.
Yeah, so some of those big plays and that big passing yardage total for Jackson Arnold, like one of them was on a 46-yard completion to Cam Coleman, again, where he's making a nice contested catch.
Yep.
And so I think some of it is like when he dropped back to pass, if he didn't let loose right away, there was nothing. So anyway, I think, yes, you get the turnovers and you'll push yourself into an A+ range for this defense. And I think they're coming. I think eventually the ice will break on some of that.
Yep.
And they will start creating turnovers. One thing I love about what I'm seeing out of this defense is they're not trying to force it. They're not trying to punch the ball out instead of tackle a guy. They're not trying to, rip it away or strip it. How many times over the years have we seen this defense try to force a fumble and the guy's able to break like 4 or 5 more tackles and get down the field and pick up a 15-yard, 16-yard gain and convert a key third down when they could have just tackled the dude and 4th down they punt. You know what I mean?
So much pain.
They're doing the fundamental things right. The opportunities are there. Billy Bowman, Kendall Daniels, you just got to catch the ball. So it's coming. On the polls, Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners are sitting in the top 10 in both the AP and the USLBM coaches poll. As we look at the AP poll here on the YouTube side of things, Oklahoma has moved up into the top 5 behind Ohio State at 1, Oregon, Miami, and Ole Miss.
Ooh, does that feel high to you? I only asked that question because, does that feel high to you, John?
I mean, the only thing that I could legitimately say for sure should be ahead of them is Texas A&M. Because, Texas A&M, they're undefeated as well. They've got a big win over Notre Dame, who just beat the brakes off of Arkansas.
Got the coach fired.
Yeah. And they've looked up and down at times, but they looked good this past weekend against Auburn. They have a really good they have a defense that I think is trending in a positive direction. And then outside of that, that's about it. Penn State lost another, top 10 game. James Franklin, you cannot win a top 10 matchup. Indiana, okay, they've got the big win over Illinois, but how good is Illinois? I don't trust their win over USC because how good is USC?
Yeah.
Texas, I don't know. I don't know what Texas is. And then Bama, they look great against Georgia, but then they've got that week 1 really weird blowout loss to Florida State. So I don't know what to make of them either. For Oklahoma, you're in a great position. Being a top 5 team with still a lot to prove is kind of a interesting place to be.
Yeah, and then when you look at here with the coaches poll kind of upgrades you a little bit into you're still not as loved. They moved the Aggies into the top 5, so they're kind of looking at your theory as well, John, and it feels like they really believe in what Texas A&M is doing. And as you mentioned, Texas A&M beat a Notre Dame team in which, honestly, it kind of feels like these polls really benefit Notre Dame. Their 2 losses are against top 5 teams in the country or top 8 teams in the country. So, this kind of justifies why they're ranked in the top 25 right now. And we always ask the question, 2-loss team, should they be ranked? Meh. But we'll see what Notre Dame does go through the rest of the season because they're a talented squad, but I don't know. I do say that I am very happy that we are getting enough recognition. Even with John Mateer being hurt, they still moved us up a spot, 2 spots in the AP poll. They moved us 2 spots up in the coaches poll. And so you could tell that regardless, the media's like, I think Oklahoma's a solid team. And especially with the way the news is coming fast and furious about John Mateer wanting to play as soon as possible. Yeah. But I think Kent State's going to really determine what things look like going into that Texas game.
Yeah, I was interested to see that they didn't dock Oklahoma because Mateer is not available.
Yeah, so that's a surprise.
And I think that shows a lot of respect for Oklahoma's defense and Oklahoma's skill players. And hey, listen, you've put together a nice body of work through 4 games. You've earned your ranking. And maybe everybody expects material will be back sooner rather than later. But a lot of respect. But to me, it doesn't matter because all you got to do is just keep winning. If you win,
keep winning, baby.
Everything will take care of itself. All business, no breaks. Just go take care of business each week because you're going to have a lot of opportunities to do so. Biggest surprises in the SEC, biggest letdowns we'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.